So let's get started today. If you've got your yoga mat, that's great. If you have a block or two, that's fantastic. If not, we'll just make do without them. If you have a blanket or a towel to sit up on, or a pillow, you can use a bolster or any couch pillow just to get your knees a little bit lower than your hips. That's perfect. And you can use a strap, a yoga strap, or you can use a hand towel, anything that you have laying around the house, just to strap your foot in if you need it, or arms for a back bend. And I'll give you some options as we go through. So whenever I teach to a group where there may be somebody who's never done yoga before and perhaps somebody who's a yoga teacher. So someone who has a very advanced practice. And I'll give options for everything in between. So feel free to take the option that works for you, because this is a practice. It is your practice. And we appreciate that you take good care of yourself. Now, I can't see you today, so I really hope that you're taking good care of yourself. That may mean just laying on your mat and listening to my voice for this period of time. But we have our special guest who's going to serenade us as we begin our little bit of meditation at the beginning of the practice. So just take a comfortable seat, get those knees lower than your hips, adjust your flesh away from your seat so your sitting bones are solid on the earth, and relax your shoulders onto the back of your heart. And just close your eyes and listen to the stylings of McFerren and his alto saxophone. Begin to draw your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, taking in those last vibrations of the music. Thank you, Aiden. Take a moment to call an intention or a mantra or a word into your heart this afternoon. And holding that intention in your heart, let's begin our practice with the chant of a single Om. And you're at home, so you can chant with me and no one's listening but the dog and the cat. Empty your breath and take in a breath. Bow the wisdom of your head to the all-knowing wisdom of your heart. Bring your thumbs to hover just in front of your third eye, because we're not touching our faces. And then inhale, draw your hands back to your heart center. Blink your eyes open and stretch your arms all the way up. Exhale, open your arms nice and wide. Inhale, stretch your arms up. And exhale, take a sweet little side bend, left hand down, right arm up and over. Inhale, come back to center. Take your right hand down, left arm stretches up and over. Inhale, return to center. Take that same stretch to the other side. And back to the first side, waving that left arm to the right. Return to center, stretch both arms up. Take a tiny little back bend, lift your heart to the heavens. And exhale, hands come down to heart center. Shift yourself around until you're in a child's pose, so your big toes touch, your knees are apart. If you have any hip issues or knee issues that don't permit you to come all the way down into a child's pose, just take a puppy pose, where your hips float above your knees or your heels rather than coming down. So puppy pose or coming down to child's pose. Take a few breaths here. And begin to walk your hands over to the right, really shifting your weight into your left hip, maybe even stacking your left hand on top of your right hand. Take a full body stretch through that left side, softening the shoulders, the jaw, the eyes. And then slowly shifting your hands to center and all the way over to the left. Perhaps stacking and interlacing the right fingertips on top of the left. Stretch long through that whole right side of the body. Take a nice easy breath in here and a full breath out. And begin to walk your hands back to center. Shift yourself into a table pose so that your hands are underneath your shoulders and your knees are underneath your hips. Begin to float that left arm all the way up to the sky, stretching long from the right hand to the left hand. Take a breath. And begin to exhale and thread the needle, coming underneath your right side. Stretch your right fingers forward, maybe your right toes back. And just hanging out here, allowing the weight of the hips to heading into the shoulder, into the temple, creating some space. Begin to slide that right hand back in, and taking a long breath, begin to stretch that left arm up to the sky. And exhale, slow release. Take it to the other side, reaching that right arm up to the sky, thread underneath the left side body, reaching down into the earth with the right shoulder, the right temple, maybe reaching those left fingertips forward, or perhaps even those left toes straight back. Find those even balanced breaths. Samavriti, same on the inhale, same on the exhale. Begin to slowly bring that right hand, maybe, or the left hand, the left knee back in. Inhale your right arm up to the sky. I'm so used to teaching opposite, I can't remember which one is my left and my right. So finding your table pose, begin to curl into gentle cat, exhaling the breath. And as you inhale, float into a cow pose. Stretch the heart and the hips high. And exhale, floating into cat. And inhale, float into cow stretch. Let your breath guide your movement rather than the movement guiding your breath. Feel the beginning of the breath as you come into cat before you move your body. Feel the breath as you come into cow before you move your body. And finding a neutral spine, begin to stretch back into the sole of that right foot and find a little pulse here. So floating into the toes and back into the heel, into the toes and back into the heel. And finding that nice long stretch there. You can keep those toes on the earth as you stretch your left hand forward, or maybe you'll lift that leg away from the floor, finding a simple spinal balance. Take a breath in here. You can stay here or curl your elbow and your knee to join. Inhale and extend long. And exhale, curl. Inhale and extend. And exhale, curl. Last time, extend your spine long. So fingertips stretch forward, heel stretches back. Maybe you'll bend that right knee. Maybe you'll turn the left thumb down and reach back. Maybe you'll catch your ankle, but maybe you won't. And if you have your ankle, perhaps you'll turn your chest to the left, hug your belly in, and open up into a gentle heart opener. As you inhale, stretch everything long again, and as you exhale, hand and knee come to the earth. 3 rounds of cat-cow, pacing your breath and your movement. Again, pay attention to the beginning and the end of the breath, slowing everything down. We've kind of been forced to slow things down now, so be really present to the breath and to the movement and the connection of all of it. Come back to a neutral spine. Stretch back into the ball of the left foot this time and begin to shift again forward and back, hugging navel to spine, making some space in the calf and the hamstrings. And then you can stay right there and stretch that right hand forward. Maybe those back toes stay on the floor. Maybe you lift them for a spinal balance. You can stay here or maybe curl in, join your knee and your elbow, and inhale, extend. We'll do that 2 more times. Exhale, curl. Inhale, extend. And 1 more of those. Exhale, curl. And inhale, extend. Now here again, you can remain, or perhaps you bend that left knee. Perhaps you turn your thumb down and reach back. Lift and reveal the heart. Maybe you can catch that ankle and turn your chest, opening your heart to the side wall. With your next breath, lengthen everything long, and with your exhale, hand and knee to the floor. Tuck back into a child or to a puppy pose, walking the hips back, hands forward. Settle back into that easy, balanced breath. And with your next breath in, we're coming all the way down to the belly. I'm going to flip to the other side so you can see me as we move through this first sequence. Come all the way down to your belly into a gentle Sphinx pose. So bringing the elbows directly underneath your shoulders, shimmy your hips and get settled on the floor so the tops of your feet are rooted into the earth and your chest stretches forward. Imagine you could stretch your heart beyond your fingertips, take your gaze to the earth beyond your fingertips. Deep breath in and out. Feel your belly lift a little bit towards the spine. Feel your shoulder blades hug the back of your heart. Stay right here, or maybe wiggle those hands to the corners of the mat to lift your elbows up a little bit or a lot, coming into a seal stretch. And try to avoid locking out through the elbows. Keep a soft bend as you stretch the center of the chest forward. As you exhale, lower your forehead to the floor, hands underneath the chest. Roll the shoulders back again a few times. Make a ton of space from the earlobes to the top of the shoulders. Now stretch the chest. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, coming into your cobra, high or low. Exhale, slow release. Curl your toes, come to hands and knees. So we're in a supported plank pose. Begin to lift your knees to hover away from the floor and kind of walk your feet a little bit to the left and to the right. And start to fire up your core here a little bit. Really see your fingers on the floor, hands hugging the floor. Now as you press down evenly into the feet, feet are hip width apart, if not a little bit wider. Begin to lift the hips up and back, stretching long into your downward facing dog. Maybe pedal things out a little bit from here without losing the bend to the knees. So get as long as you can from the fingertips to the sitting bones. Hug your low belly in and keep those ears right between your biceps. With your next breath, float to a high plank pose, and with your exhale, float back to your dog pose. 2 more of those. Inhale, float into your plank. And exhale, float into your dog. 1 more time, float into your plank. And float into your dog. Step that left foot closer to center and raise your right leg for 3-legged dog. Balance your hips out by spiraling the right inner thigh to the sky, stretching long through that right heel. Keep a softness to your left knee. Take a deep breath in here, and as you exhale, curl your knee in and step through to a low lunge. Now here's the point where you may need a block, you might not, totally up to you. I'm going to bring a block to the inside of my foot, wiggle back a little bit into my left knee, and just hang it out here in low lunge for a few breaths, giving that left hip flexor some space to have an opportunity to open. Keeping my gaze really easy, breath balanced. Maybe you can bring your hands on up to that left thigh once you settle in and you feel that hug between the legs, dragging the right heel back, the left knee slightly forward. Draw and pull your belly in. Extend your arms up to the sky, maybe your heart up to the sky without losing the connection to your core. Take a deep breath in here, and as you exhale, bring your hands back down. Now you can use that block to come into your half Hanuman, kind of walking the hips back. You can bring your hands to the block or just frame your foot on the earth. Stretch your chest forward, so even finding a back bend here in this mild forward bend, keeping the right knee slightly unlocked. If holding this pose is not working for you, if you've been sitting all day or whatever you've been doing all day and that doesn't work for you, keep it dynamic, move forward and back. If you're a runner or a cyclist or anything of that nature, it's going to be really hard for you to hold that pose this early in the practice. So find a little shift, find some dynamic movement. And then when you're ready, hold the pose, coming all the way back in for a full breath. And bring it back up. Now again, you can have that block underneath the left hand or just bring your left hand to the earth. Lift into the left knee. We're taking a twist. Raise that right hand up to the sky. Draw your navel in and extend from the left hand to the right hand. Maybe taking your gaze up if that's okay with the neck, or taking your gaze down towards your right big toe if that feels better for your neck and shoulders. Give a little squeeze between the legs. So really feel that right heel drag back, slightly dragging the left hip and the left toes forward. Pump up that left thigh a little bit more. Take another breath in where you are. And as you exhale, bring those hands down, drop your back knee, come back to that supported plank pose once again. Bring the right knee back to meet the left knee. Take a breath in, slowly lower your chest to the floor, coming down knees, chest, chin. Glide the heart forward, cobra pose, 1 breath. Exhale, release, downward facing dog, hips up and back. And this time maybe pedal out that dog. Bend one knee, stretch into the opposite heel, keeping it really fluid, moving with your breath. Nowhere to go. We're all stuck here together, so we might as well enjoy these poses, right? Nice, long, downward facing dog. And when you find that just right spot to land with unlocked knees, hips lifting, hang out here for 3 full breaths. With your next inhale, lengthen your left leg, 3-legged dog. Again, inner spiral your left thigh up to the sky. That means the toes turn down. We're unlocking that right knee. Hug your belly in, get a little longer from your hands all the way out through that left heel. Draw your knee into your nose and step through, dropping that right knee down to meet the mat. Again, you can bring a block into the right hand, Wiggle back a little through that right knee. We want the left knee directly over the left heel. So we're weight bearing. It's good and healthy for the bones to have things lined up. So we're very focused on alignment at Namaste. So bring that left knee directly over the left heel. And we'll just hang out here, giving a little space for that right hip to find some sensation and some space. Couple breaths. Get connected again. Maybe bring your hands on up to your thigh and settle in, bringing your head over your heart, over your hips. Draw your belly and your low ribs in and kind of sink down into the pose. Maybe reach those hands forward, plug your shoulders in and raise your arms to the sky. Maybe your heart to the sky. And as you exhale, bring your hands back down. Again, you can bring them to that block, or you can frame your foot, send your hips back, half Hanuman. Hanuman is monkey pose. It is half split pose. So if you're feeling a little bit adventurous today, you're more than welcome to try the full shape of the pose, full split, or if your kids are practicing with you and they want to show off, or you want to show off, maybe you want to take that crazy party trick of splits pose. Otherwise, just keep that little shift or keep the hold to the back of the mat. And we'll all come to the back of the mat, hold here for a full length of breath, stretching the chest forward, tailbone and sitting bones high. Feel those hamstrings. Keep that knee unlocked. And begin to bring a bend into the knee again. Bring that block underneath your right hand or just fingertips down to meet the floor. And lift your right knee. Sweep that left arm up for an easy twist. Again, squeeze the left heel and the right toes together. Draw your belly in and peel the left side of the chest open, finding this twist and a heart opener. So when we twist, breath is super important. Lift and pump up that right inner thigh a little bit more. Squeeze the feet together a little bit more. Take a long breath in. Exhale, hands come down to the floor. Step yourself back again. Plank pose. Drop the knees or keep the knees lifted. Knees, chest and chin, or one long line. Uncurl your heart into a cobra pose. Exhale, release to your dog pose. Maybe that's puppy dog, where your hips are staying on the knees are staying on the floor. Maybe it's a downward facing dog where your knees are completely lifted. Again, you do you find the shape of the pose that suits you best in this moment. I can't see you today, so I have to trust you to take care of yourself. Shift yourself forward, high plank pose. We're going to do a little clinic here now. So I often like to remind people what the difference between knees, chest, chin, and chaturanga is. So if you're coming down to the earth on your knees first to come into your back bend, that's awesome, especially for people with wrist or shoulder injuries, probably a much better option. Now, if you want to come down through a high plank and flow through into your back bend, which is upward facing dog, it kind of looks like this. So you'll keep your knees lifted, you'll float into your toes, but we don't want those shoulders dropping below elbow height. So we bring the shoulders in line with the elbows, then you can float forward with the hips lifted and away from the floor, coming into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Take a breath in here, curl over the toes, downward facing dog, or just flip your toes and come back. Take a breath in, sigh that breath out. Woo, that's a big one. Take an easy breath in and sigh it out. Raise your right leg again, three-legged dog. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to flip myself around here. You can come into a downward facing dog, three-legged dog, in the same way you can come into a three-legged table. So you don't necessarily have to be in dog pose to transition. So in all of my classes, I offer both options. So whether you're coming into it from three-legged dog and maybe stacking the hips for a little twist, or coming into it from three-legged table, we're all going to get to the same place. So you take the pose that suits you. Maybe circle those toes in the air or bend your knee. Maybe make some little circles with your knee and kind of floss out that hip. Extend your leg nice and long, and we're squaring the hips up. Step through to a high lunge twist again. So left hand down, right arm peels up. Take a breath in here and a breath out. Now we're going to move from here. So for some of you who are balance challenged, you might want to bring your knee down to get there. If you want to try and play with your balance a little bit today, squeeze those feet together. Find a focal point on the floor in front of your right foot and begin to rise all the way up, reaching that left hand forward, right hand back. Upright twist. Fun! Now you can keep your gaze at the floor, at your left thumb. Draw your belly in, get a little bit taller. Squeeze the feet together and engage your foundation a little bit more. Now sweep right hand, left hand up. Take an easy little back bend. Exhale, hands down. Step back to your plank pose, high or low. Knees lifted, knees lowered. Come all the way down to the floor to your back bend. Sphinx pose, seal pose, cobra pose, or upward facing dog. We've done them all. Exhale, release to your dog pose, puppy dog or downward facing. Reach your hips up and back, forehead to the mat. Lift the hips and the knees if you're in downward facing dog. Again, we're coming to dog or to table pose to raise the left leg and open up that left hip. So if you're in three-legged dog pose, you can open the hip, bend the knee, maybe circle the knee or circle the ankle joint. Draw some circles in the air, write your name in the air. And then hugging the belly in, square your hips off, extend your leg long, and step on through to your high lunge once again. So lift the right knee. We're peeling that left arm open for the twist. Squeeze your feet together, remembering that the left knee should be over the left heel. Open the heart. Stay with your breath. Take your gaze down beyond your left big toe. Keeping a drishti will help you stay balanced. Squeezing the legs together, inhale, rise up to an open twist. You can keep your gaze at your right thumb, at the floor. Maybe you have the bandwidth to turn your gaze to the left. Stay with your breath. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Stretch up, heart is open. Exhale, hands down. Step yourself back to a plank pose. Again, coming through chaturanga or knees, chest, and chin. If you're coming through chaturanga, paying attention to only going to that halfway point where the shoulders are in line with the elbows. Exhale, downward facing dog, hips up and down. Check out your hands. So whether you're in table or dog, we're going to get up to those hands. If you're in table, you're going to step one foot up at a time. If you're in downward facing dog, up on the tippy toes, knees bend, hop, step, float, forward, forward, fold. Keep your knees really easy. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, let it go. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, let it all go. Inhale, lift halfway. Keeping the spine long, floating up all the way to stand. Reach your arms up, lift your heart. Exhale, hands to your heart. I'm going to turn and face you. So pressing up through the right palm, take your left hand to your wrist. Keeping this shoulder and arm nice and soft, bend over to the left, keeping the left and right side body equally long. So not just dumping into the left side because you're focused on this side of the body, but keep both sides of the body nice and bright. Breathe, close your eyes. Feel your feet grounding you, your palms reaching over to the left. Inhale, come on back to center. Press up through the left palm, right hand to the wrist. Again, both sides of the body bright. Left shoulder super soft. And bend over to the right. Draw your belly in, take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. One more time, deep breath in, settling into your body and your breath. Full breath out. Inhale, return to center, and exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to a little chair pose. Sink your hips back, maybe hands at heart. Maybe goalpost arms or reaching your arms forward is a better shape for you. But keep a little back bend in your chair pose here. So you can see how I'm not curling into my chair and just getting down as low as I can go. I'm keeping the heart lifted. My legs, my quads are still working. They're on fire here. So sink your hips back an inch more. And sink your hips back an inch more. And sink your hips back an inch more. Inhale, rise up, lift the heart. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, let go. Root to rise all the way up to stand. Lift your heart again. Exhale, chair pose. This time we're coming into a little twist. So you've got some options. You can bring your left hand down, right arm up. You can cross your left elbow over your thigh and bring your hands to prayer if that's a better option for you. So you've got some options here. Any of the above. All levels, right? So sink down into those hips. Maybe take your gaze to the floor. See if you can balance your hips out a little bit by drawing your knees in line. Bring your hands back to center chair pose. Inhale, rise all the way up. Stretch up. Take a forward bend between sides. So come on down. Shake out your legs a little bit. Bend and stretch your knees. And then bringing the hands back up to the waist. Rise all the way up to stand. Stretch up. Chair pose. Exhale. Taking that twist in the opposite direction. So either crossing the right elbow over the thigh, fingertips to the floor, or maybe just bringing that right elbow across your thighs to open up and twist. Any of those options are good ones. Again, try to balance those knees and hips out without forcefully doing so. Take another breath in here. Come on back to your chair pose. Big exhale. Fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, let go. Step yourself to a plank pose. I'm going to switch sides here. Come down to the earth, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Flow through to the back bend of your choice. We'll meet in child or in puppy pose. Knees wide or shins parallel, thighs parallel for puppy. Settle in, maybe bringing your hands behind the heart in prayer or curling in next to the heels. Finding a shape where you can come back to that easy balanced breath and rest. Begin to slowly roll yourself up. And we're coming into a little toe sit here. So I'd like you to curl your toes, and you can maybe even manually manipulate that pinky toe away from the other toes if it doesn't want to part ways. And sink your hips back onto your heels. Now, if this is too much for you, you can bring your hands forward so you don't have so much weight on the heels. Otherwise, bring your head over your heart over hips and anchor your hips back onto your heels. And this is just to open up the soles of the feet a little bit before we do some grounding standing poses. Roll your shoulders back. Interlace your hands behind your back. So if you need to use a strap or a towel to get there, if it's really hard for you to interlace, you're just going to grab that bath towel or hand towel or strap and curl the shoulder blades back. So the center of the chest lifts. Keep your core engaged. Weight is back on those heels. And if you needed to uncurl your toes by now because it's too much, I totally get that. It's challenging. Take another breath in here. Slowly release the bind in the arms. Come back down, uncurl your toes, and tap the tops of your toes on the floor so you can release the tops of your feet. And stopping right there, step forward with that right foot between your hands. We're coming into a Virabhadrasana 2 shape, Warrior 2. So we'll lift that left knee and bring the left heel in line with the right heel. Again, we want the right knee weight bearing over the left or over the right heel and keeping it wide, pointing towards the center of the foot. Open your arms nice and wide with your palms up, coming into How Wonderful Arms, and relax your shoulders, hug your middle in a little bit, and expand out in all directions. Squeeze your feet together. So now the soles of your feet are nice and open from that toe stretch, that heel stretch. So squeeze the soles of the feet together and expand out from the chest all the way out through your fingertips. Take a breath in and out here. And then keeping the shoulders rotated open, begin to turn the palms of your hands down. Hug your low belly in. Keeping this foundation, flip that right palm and reverse your warrior, taking your gaze to your left big toe. Breathe. Oh. Return yourself to a Warrior 2 and begin to take that right hand behind the right shin. You can even hang on to that right calf as you stretch either straight up with the left hand or maybe reaching all the way forward, stretching long from the left pinky toe out through the left pinky finger. Squeeze your feet together, roll the ribs open. Imagine you could get that whole right kidney band to spin through. Just one more breath, I promise. Exhale, hands down to the inside of your foot. Spin your hands to the inside of your stance. Turn those right toes slightly right, coming into Skandasana, a nice little hamstring stretch. So yours might not look like this. Your Skandasana might be a little more upright, and that's totally cool. All levels, remember. And then shift your weight over to the left. So your left toes turn slightly out. Pop up those right toes. And bring it over to the other side. Left toes pop up. Right knee is deeply bent. And bring it over to the other side. Nice job. Turn the right foot parallel to the short edge of your mat. Left toes turn to the back of your mat. Rise on up for a Warrior 2, other side. Palms flip again. Squeeze the feet together. Roll the shoulders back. Draw your belly in. And extend out from the center of the heart through the palms of your hands. Keep your gaze soft. Maybe lift the corners of your mouth. Because you're doing yoga at home. I have no idea what you're doing. You might be in your underwear. You might be drinking a beer while we're having, whatever you're doing. Just find some joy in this moment, right? Maybe your kids are underneath you, or your dog is running under you, or licking your face while you're doing yoga. And if I distract you long enough, you won't remember that you're holding Warrior 2 for like 10 breaths. Way to go. Turn the palms of your hands down towards the floor. Draw your belly in. Take a deep breath in. Again, reverse that warrior. Bring your gaze to your right big toe, drawing that right hip and waist back. Hug your belly in. Peel the right ribs open. Take another breath here. Take that left hand coming back through Warrior 2. Bring it behind the left calf. Right arm straight up or right arm up and above the ear. Get long from the right pinky toe all the way up through that right pinky finger. But keep squeezing the legs together, heels together. Draw and roll the left kidney band through. Whew! My legs are tired. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, bring your hands down to the inside of your foot again. Coming back into that Skandasana, left toes slightly turn, right heel pops up, and just shimmy from side to side like you're surfing, moving the weight from side to side, move with the breath, just like cat-cow. Let the breath guide the movement. Ooh, popping and cracking. And then bringing the toes forward, take a wide leg fold. Inhale, lift up to the tips of your fingers. Lengthen your spine. And exhale. Shake your head no, and yes, keep those knees slightly bent. You've got some options here as well. You can walk your fingers forward so your ears are between your biceps, much like a down dog. You just have wide legs, hips and knees and heels in line. Maybe your preference is to walk the arms through, or to bring peace fingers to your big toes and widen your elbows. Maybe your choice is to take Shirshasana A little headstand from here, cupping the back of the head and lifting your toes away from the floor. Whatever your option is, you've got 5 more breaths here to do it. Stay with that balanced inhale and exhale. If you're in that headstand, come all the way back down to the earth, bringing the feet down, get grounded. Bring your fingertips under your shoulders and press your spine long one more time. And heel toe those feet together just a tiny bit more, coming into a squat pose, Malasana. Now, Malasana can be done hovering above the floor. You'll notice how my heels and my toes are on the floor. So if you cannot quite get heels and toes on the floor, you might want to put a block under your booty, or a couple of blocks, or a pillow, or your dog, or whatever it is. You're going to put that underneath your booty and you're going to sit up nice and tall. So not hugging into the pose in this way, curling the spine, but keeping that back bend even though we're in Malasana, we're in a squat. Close your eyes for a moment and take a few deep breaths. Again, coming back to that balanced inhale, exhale. Perhaps even counting your inhale to 4 or 5 or 6. And matching it with your exhale, counting out the same. Begin to blink your eyes slightly open and bring those left fingertips down to hover above the floor as you peel your right arm open and back, coming into an easy twist here in garland pose. Draw your belly in, peel the center of the chest open. Right side of the chest gets really expansive and broad. As you exhale, bring everything back to center. Take a long breath in and out and lengthen. Hover those right fingertips above the floor so your elbow presses into the front of the knee, front of the thigh. Begin to peel that left arm open for an easy twist. Relax your shoulders, your jaw, your eyes. One more long breath here. And as you exhale, return your hands to your heart, pausing in the middle for a deep breath in and a full breath out. Begin to drop your hands to the earth. As you lift your hips, turn your toes forward so your feet are parallel. Soften your knees, hands to opposite elbows, just shake it out. Shake your head yes and no. Bring your hands on up to your hips, rise all the way up to stand. We're coming all the way down to the floor now. So grab your towel or your strap or whatever you have, and we're coming down to the floor for a little work with the hamstrings, hips, and calves. So bring yourself down to the earth, hug your knees into your chest. Poor wardrobe choice on my part here with the hoodie and the hair. But draw the knees into the chest and maybe make some little circles with your knees. Take them in one direction and then the other. Just staying really fluid in our bodies today. The whole goal of this all levels practice today is to really just get into our entire bodies. And hopefully we'll do that. Even our toes and our feet we got. So loop the strap around the sole, the ball of your right foot. So just below your toes. Take one strap in each hand. And take a moment to kind of bend and stretch that leg, working into the hamstrings. Maybe you point your toes and work into the front of the foot and the calf. And take both straps in your right hand now, placing your left hand on the top of that hip to keep it grounded. Begin to float that right leg out to the right. Now, you notice that my left knee is bent. So if you have something going on with your low back, if it's cranky today, keep that knee bent. Your low back is going to stay a lot happier if you do that. Now, for me, I've got my leg coming right out of my hip, but for some of you, it might come a little bit closer to the center of your mat. You might not come all the way down towards the earth. Maybe you want to take that block and tuck it underneath your leg. Maybe you're just like, I'm not holding my leg up in the air like that. Let your elbow come down so that you have that support. And maybe lengthen that left leg if you've got the space. My left thigh is grounded to the earth, and that's where you need to be if that left leg is long. Be where you are going to be today. Take another breath in and out. Slowly begin to bend that left knee if it's not bent already, and bring that right leg back to center. Pass the straps into your left hand. Go nice and slow. So start to bring that right foot across a little bit, maybe a third of the way. And notice how you can really feel that through the outer leg, that racing stripe of an IT band. And to get into that IT band, maybe turn your right heel to the left as if you could point your toes to your right shoulder. Keep a soft bend in that knee. So maybe you want to hang out here. If you have tight IT bands and you're a runner, this might be the place you want to stay. If you want to go into a deeper twist, you're going to shift your hips slightly to the right to roll the whole right foot all the way down and over to the left. Extend your right arm, maybe extend your gaze out over that right hand. These are all just options. Again, place that left elbow on the floor so you're not just hanging on to some tension in your left shoulder. We did some good work to open up the shoulders and the heart, so let's keep it that way and hang out here for a couple of breaths. Using the strength of your core and your leg, begin to reach that foot all the way back up to center. Shift your hips back to center and lengthen your right leg and your left leg. Notice the differences between the two sides. So your right side should feel a heck of a lot longer than the left at this point. But I promise I won't leave you there. We'll get you all balanced out. Begin to bend the right knee and loop the strap around the ball of the left foot, extending straight up through that left leg. Again, bend and stretch a little bit. Just notice the flexibility of your hamstrings, your calf. And again, if you point and flex that foot, you can start to get into the top of the foot, which is a really challenging place to stretch. Now again, leaving that right knee bent or maybe lengthening your leg, we're floating that left foot all the way over to the left. And all the way over depends on the flexibility of your legs. So just take it easy today. Maybe float your leg down to a pillow or a block. And again, use that left elbow as an anchor so you're not creating more tension in the left shoulder. Deep breath in. And a full breath out. And one more time, deep breath in. And a full breath out. Begin to raise that left leg back up to the sky, passing the straps into your right hand. Now here again, we're going to go slow. So take your leg about a third of the way across and just notice what you notice. Right foot is still on the floor. You can turn that left heel slightly right, toes towards the left shoulder. Maybe you want to shimmy those hips a little bit to the left and roll all the way onto the right side and take a nice deep twist here. Gaze can be at the left extended arm. Maybe that's too much for your shoulder and you're just going to place your left hand on your ribs. Stay here and breathe. 2 more breaths. And 1 more breath. Slowly begin to bring that foot back up to the sky, bending into the right knee, We'll unloop the strap and lengthen both legs, and just notice if you're a little bit more balanced at this point. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Find a happy baby pose. So you can take happy baby in a lot of ways. If you can't reach your feet, you're just going to wrap around behind your thighs or maybe just up to the shins. Maybe you can reach peace fingers to the big toes, maybe hands to the outer edges of the feet. So maybe your happy baby is really sleepy today and sleepy happy and wants to stay right here. Maybe you've got a super wiggly baby. I've got 3 wiggly babies in my house from ages 13, 15, 18, and they're super wiggly happy babies. So we're going to wiggle my baby today. But maybe yours is sleepy and you want to just stay where you are. And coming back to center, draw the feet and the knees together, hug. And then dropping the pinky toe edges of the feet to the earth, bring your knees out wider than the hips in a Supta Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet are together, the knees are apart. If you have blocks or pillows you want to tuck underneath your knees, you can go there. You can stay right here. We'll take a little rest at the end. If you'd like to take a longer rest than I'm offering you, by all means, take a longer rest. We'll be here for about a minute. So you can dim your lights, close your eyes, and reconnect to your breath. Perhaps bringing your hands to your belly or belly and heart, or counting that breath. Maybe up to 4 and down to 5 or 6. Start to lengthen out the exhale so you come into a more relaxed state. As you settle into the earth wherever you landed, take a long breath in and sigh that breath out. May still be gripping somewhere in your body, in your jaw, in your shoulders. Can you relax the skin of your face? Separate your teeth. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. And find some rest and some peace. Dana Falls is one of our favorite poets to read from at the end of our practices at Namaste, and I reached out to her today to be sure it was okay with her if we shared her poetry online. And she was honored and hopes that it brings some comfort in this unpredictable time. She recently wrote a poem on May 14th that she shared with me today, and that I'd like to share with you. It's called Come Forth. Let the true individual come forth today. She who knows how closely she's connected to the whole. She who knows her own strength and chooses not to get lost in old patterns. Let the radiant one come forth in all her living, giving, loving effervescence. Of course she has weaknesses. Of course she's afraid. But her courage far outweighs her fear. Today I call upon the best of me to come forward and stand firm. I feel her feet rooted in the earth, her spine lengthening, her eyes wide open, her palms in a receptive gesture. This one can face whatever comes. This one can embrace the world with all its griefs and glories, because this one is who I really am. She is always with me, always. That sacred presence right at the center of my being. In all her creativity, wisdom, and kindness, let that one come forth today. Begin to draw your knees in if you're coming out of Shavasana. Give yourself a big hug and roll yourself to your left or your right, whichever one chooses you. Press your hands into the earth and begin to rise to an easy seat, whatever that means to you. Sitting up in an easy cross-legged position or legs stretched forward. Sit up nice and tall, head over heart over hips, and close your eyes. Draw your hands back to heart center, keeping a little space between the palms for your intention today. It is my joy to sit in the seat of teacher. I'm so grateful to all of you who virtually joined me today. I'm holding all of you close to my heart, as are all the teachers at Namaste. We'll close our practice, holding those intentions, sending out so much love to those who need it during this time, joining our voices in the chant of an Om. Empty your breath and take in a breath. Sending lots of love and light and blessings your way. We bow to one another as we say, Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Sleep well and stay healthy.